Dear student, myself Rajendra Aaseri, I am Assistant Professor in Computer Science Department at Government Bangat PG College, Didwana. Dear students, in the previous lecture we have discussed some basics about database and management system. Why database system is required, what are the drawbacks of using file system, all these concepts we have already discussed. After that we have discussed about the abstraction level of in the database. Clear? We have discussed about physical level, about logical level and view level. After that we have discussed some concept about schema, instances of the database, and various different model of a database like er model, object oriented model, semi structured model, okay, tree structured model, network model. Now in today's lecture we will be focusing on SQL and some more topic. So what is basically SQL? SQL stand for structured query language. It is basically a query language. Now what do you mean by query? If suppose in a database it contains various rows and column. So I'm taking a real life example. Suppose I'm assistant professor in a college, Bangalore College. So in the database of the Bangalore College, in faculty data, there are various faculties are there. So suppose I'm saying the table name or database name is faculty. Suppose. So in faculty table there is some column like faculty ID, unique ID is there. In my case I am taking SSO ID. Suppose. So SSO ID is unique for every faculty. Second column is faculty name. Third is faculty teaching course, which course the faculty is teaching. After that salary and some more field, right? So I'm taking four field. Now if I want to access information of a particular faculty, then in order to access that information I need to provide some input and I need to tell the procedure to the database. So for that we require some procedural query language. So it is asking some question or asking for the information from the database is called as query. In simple words we can say. Okay. So SQL is not a procedural language, it is a non-procedural language. It means user will only ask the information, it will not tell or it will not tell the database that what procedure the database need to follow. Only the requirement need to tell to the database in case of SQL. So SQL is basically widely used non-procedural language. Example, suppose in a database we want to find the name of customer with customer ID, particular ID, suppose in this case 192-83-7465. It is a particular customer ID and we want the name of the customer corresponding to this customer ID. So we need to provide customer ID and corresponding to this other column will be the answer. Which column will be answered? The name column will be answered. Okay. So how to write down? In every SQL query, there are some basic query statement. First statement is select what we want in the output, which that column name will be put in under the select clause. So select, here we want customer name in our answer. So select customer dot customer underscore name. Customer underscore name is the column name and the table name is customer, right? From space we need to write down table name. So from where we want to access this information, in the second clause, from clause we need to write down the table name, right? Now after that, what type of restriction or condition we want to apply on this particular database in order to get the required answer. So this comes under the where clause. So where customer dot customer ID, our customer ID in this case it is given 192-83-7465. So our customer ID is equal to 192-83-7465. Then that particular entry corresponding to that customer name will be returned from this particular query. Okay, so just I'm again summarizing we require customer name, so it comes under the select clause. From where which table we want to access, the table name will come under from clause, from then customer table name. After that, what type of restriction? So customer id should be the given id, so where customer id equal to given id. So the order of the SQL query will always be, first clause will be select, second clause will be from, and third clause will be where. We cannot alter the order of this particular statement. Means we cannot write down from first, then select and where, or we cannot write down select, where and from. Okay, so the order will be always fixed, that is select from where. Select what type of column you want to select, name of the columns, from table name, from where we want to access the information, and where the condition. Okay, next query: find the balances of all the accounts held by the customer with customer ID 192-83-7465. Now the condition is same here, but here what we want? We want the balances of all account held by customer. Means in the customer table we have customer ID, customer name, all this information. But if he has having a account, then that customer name is entered under the depositor table, right? Because in the depositor table there is customer name, those customer who are having an account, that is depositor name, and balance. So here in this case we want the balances. It means select account dot balance, because in account table balance column is present. From where? From we want depositor comma account, because from account name of the customer is there who is depositor, account balance is there in depositor table, and in account table we have the balance, where depositor dot customer id is equal to this customer id is given, and depositor dot account number equal to account dot account number. Means account number entry is duplicate, means in the account table as well as in the deposit table. So account number entry from account table will be entered in depositor table for only those customer who are having the account. Clear? So from select balance, from we want depositor and account table where the customer id given, and depositor account number and account number should be same. Now next, application program generally access database through one of language extensions to allow embedded SQL, and application program interface like ODBC, JDBC, which allow SQL query to be sent to a database. Okay. So in summary form, we can say SQL is a non-procedural query language in which some certain statements are required in a particular order, like select, from, and where. Now in order to design a perfect database, there are some procedure we need to follow, and the process of designing the general structure of the database are: first, logical design. In logical design we decide on the database schema, the structure, overall structure of the schema. Means how many number of column will be there, how the name of the columns, which will be the primary key, which will be the distinguished attributes, like that. So in database design requires that we find a good collection of relation schemas. Okay, now in the database it is a collection of various schema. Schema means we can say table, and at particular time how many number of rows are entered, the values of the database entries is called as instance of the database at that particular time. So now see, business decision. What attribute should we record in the database? It comes under business decision. In computer science decision, what relation schema should we have, and how should the attributes be distributed among the various relation schema? Okay. So this comes under the logical design. Now in physical design, we need to decide on the physical layout of the database. Logical design mainly focuses on the relationship between the attributes, number of attributes. Clear? Physical design will be deciding the physical layout, the basic structure of the database. Now next is we are focusing the basics about entity relationship model. Okay, now in entity relationship model, it is an model, an enterprise as a collection of entity and relation. In entity relationship model, basically three ingredients are there. First is entity, second is relation, and third is attribute. Okay, if you look in the below diagram, you see the rectangle. Rectangle, in the rectangle we have written customer and account. So whatever written under the entity or under the rectangle box, it is an entity. Okay, what is entity? Any real life object which has some certain properties, certain attribute, right? Next is depositor. It is in diamond. So whatever you are writing under diamond, it is a relationship, and relationship generally occurs between two or more entity, right? Next is the ellipse. Okay, so if you see in under this, there are various names are written. These are the attribute, and the attribute which is underlined is the prime attribute, or we can say prime key. Okay, so entity is nothing else. It is a thing or object in the enterprise that is distinguishable from other object. It is described by a set of attribute. Next is relationship, an association among several entities. It is represented diagrammatically by an entity relationship. So this already I explained: rectangle, ellipse, and diamond. Right. Now next model name is object relational data model. Some basic points about this is: first, it is just extend the relational data model by including object orientation, and it constructs to deal with added data type. If you want to add some additional data type, then object relational data model is effective, right? Now it provides some freedom, like it allow attributes of tuples to have complex type. Complex type means iota, including non-automatic values such as nested relation, right? Next one is it preserve relational foundation, in particular the declarative access to the data, while extending modeling power. Okay, it provide upward compatibility with existing relational languages, right? Now next comes is XML. XML stands for extensible markup language. Now it is defined by the WWW consortium W3C. It is originally intended as a document markup language and not a database language. If you notice, if you remember, previously we were using HTML, hypertext markup language, and we can say extension of the HTML is XML. In XML, there are various user-defined tags are there. Various freedom is provided in XML at place of HTML. The ability to specify new tags and to create nested tag structures made XML a great way to exchange data, not just document. In this, we can exchange data also, okay, not just the document. XML has become the basis for all new generation data interchange format. For all new generation data interchange format, XML becomes the basis. Now a wide variety of tools is available for parsing, browsing, and querying XML document or data. Next is storage management. As the name implies, our data is stored somewhere. So various entities or ingredients are there in storage management. First is storage manager. It is basically a program module that provides the interface between the low level data stored in the database and the application program and queries submitted to the system. So storage, suppose at the low level, this is our data, this is our data, and this is the application program. So the interface is dealt by the application or storage manager. Okay, these are the application program, and at the bottom low level end, the database actual data present. Okay, so a program module that provide the interface between the low level data stored in the database and application program and queries submitted to the system. The storage manager is responsible for interaction with the file manager and efficient storing, retrieving and updating the data. Now in storage management system, there are some issues occurred like storage access, file organization, indexing and hashing. So that's all from this particular lecture. Again, I'm summarizing. In this lecture, we have discussed initially about the SQL, some queries we have practiced. After that, in effective database design, what are the step logical design, then what are the various issues or what are the various factors we need to focus, then physical design, entity relationship model, various ingredient basics, object relational data model, how it is different from generic relational model, then XML, properties of XML, how it is more advanced than the HTML, what are the features, all these we have discussed. Then in storage management, what is the role of storage manager, various tasks of the storage manager, and some issues like storage access, file organization and indexing. In the next lecture, we will be focusing on more concept in the database. Thank you.